and you're
I'm
working
I'm still in college. Yeah, I'm
out
doing some
there.
internships.
Yeah, so I think you're in terms of the mentality, you're already out there. For us Asians more so is when we're in college, you're just in college. Comparing to students in the States, students in Canada, when they're inside the school, they're already working. Some are already working for a couple of years before they get into it. So I appreciate the mentality that you're already out there. You already built yourself around to become a responsible adult, and not to mention with the now what podcasts where you're helping people out, like those who are doesn't have the privilege to be able to access to all those tech jobs. I think you're doing a wonderful job. Kudos to that.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much for that, man. I really
yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah. You're looking into talking about a little bit about product management. Am I correct, or is there anything that you're looking to explore?
Sure. Absolutely. I wanted to connect with you because you gave me some great feedbacks. And
Mhm.
so I just wanted to connect more on a human connection on a personal level. I like to do this kind of call because I like to connect with people, as you say, as you saw, like even from Now What podcast, I'm
Mhm.
trying always to connect via more informal way.
Mhm.
So actually, I would love to have some of your knowledge
Mhm.
from product management. I know you are a technical product manager and you're very into product management, and I love that. So I my goal is to become a product manager right out of
Mhm.
college, and so the more knowledge I have and the more people I can learn from, the better it is for me. And this is a little bit like the task of Now What as well.
Mhm.
So to learn from people already in the industry. Previously, you said something that was very interesting, and it is the mentality surrounding the people
Mhm.
in college in
Mhm.
Asia, in Europe, in the United States.
Mhm.
So I believe I am an international student. So I came in the United States 2 years ago, three
Mhm.
years ago
Mhm.
actually. And I in Europe we do have the same thing. So people that are in college, they are in college. They are not
Mhm.
going to work and not doing those kind of things. But I'm always somebody that is trying to reach out before the things finish, because I don't want to stay and I don't want to finish something and don't know what to do and ask me now what. So so that's why
Exactly.
I started to
See what you did
so that's
there.
why I
Yeah.
started to do exactly. So started to do the thing
Mhm.
a little bit
Mhm.
before, so I can
Yeah.
be set before that. And product management is definitely very interesting because
Mhm.
it is the little CEO, right? So you have to
Mhm.
communicate with everybody, you have to have technical knowledge, you have to have people skills, and I do have a little bit of both. I'm just trying to
Mhm.
figure out the best way to get into the job and possibly in one of the big tech companies, because that's the goal that I want to have. But the more that I go
Mhm.
forward, the more I speak with people, the more I understand that the big
Mhm.
tech is not that goal. The goal is to be happy and try to understand what you want to do and give contribute to the world. So I'm actually thinking about a lot of things while
Mhm.
we're talking.
Nice, nice. Well, I think there's a lot right in there, and I don't see this as a podcast, but I think for the sake of me understanding who you are, other than the image that you portray through your podcast, if I were to ask you, if you're gonna be any athlete or even like a soccer star, who would you be? And in terms of you must be holding a certain kind of food. So how would you describe you as like a soccer player with what food in your hand? And can you tell me, like, walk me through the process? Why would you think that way?
And
Yeah.
that's a very interesting question, man. I don't know actually what kind of soccer player
Okay.
I would like to be. So my role models are not soccer players.
Okay.
I am a soccer player because I love soccer as a game, and I love the specific position about that. But I'm traditionally going away from soccer. My role models are other people, people who predict peace, people who are innovative, who believes in the progress in technology. I have a lot of role models in that
Mm-hmm.
area. I don't think I can tell you somebody in soccer because I don't identify myself with nobody in soccer.
Okay. Then maybe that would be, who would you identify with? And he or she or that would, in hold of a kind of food. Well, what would that be? What's that combination?
The
How
food.
yeah, how do that person and the food in their hand would actually describe who you really are, or sort of how do you actually project your characteristic as a future PM per se?
So if I understand correctly your question, you want me to identify with somebody with a food in their hand, right?
Exactly.
So I don't identify with it, but I would love to. He is my role model.
Yeah.
I would love to. So the first image that I'm depicting in my mind is Elon Musk with an apple in his hand.
Okay, okay. Why Elon Musk? Well, I think he has a really like interesting characteristic, but which part of him do you identify with him the most, or look up to
The
him the most?
the possibility, the capability
Mm-hmm.
of diving into your dreams and
Mm-hmm.
making and taking the humanity a step ahead. It's definitely what I want to do. Take a dream that I have, try to solve one of the biggest problem in the world,
Mm-hmm.
go 100% in that thing, don't care about anybody else who is telling me otherwise, and just go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And the fruit is the apple, because I like to eat very healthy, and I'm very I'm very into health and wellness, so that's why probably the apple.
Okay, okay. Does so that really like involves like possibilities, and you're talking about how Elon Musk really dedicates his focus on making dreams into reality. Does that come to you on a more early stage of life, or does it come on a more later? Well, I think you're relatively young, but as in to this point, do you think that it's coming from an earlier stage, or even like as in is you being a forward at your college team inspired you to become something that chases after the ball per se and scoring it? Is that where it come from? Is that how it inspired you?
No, it is more lately. So it has been lately in the process, because
Mm-hmm.
I came from a little town in Italy. I always knew that I wanted to do big things, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even if I'm not doing anything right now, but I'm inspired by people that are doing big things. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, when I started to listen to a podcast, and specifically the Tim Ferriss show, it was very, very helpful for me, because I was able to see the people in they're making a difference in the world, and to hear from them directly. And so I started to think about how can I change the world, and I saw that it is actually possible with the right tools and the right way to do so. So I started to get into that kind of mode, and probably there was even a couple of books before. I cannot
Mm-hmm.
tell you exactly what moment was it, but one book that helped me a lot was Stealing the Fire,
Mm-hmm.
and from Kotler, and from Kotler, Stephen Kotler. And it was a very, very interesting book. So how how can we maximize the potential of our brain, and
Mm-hmm.
what tools can we use to those kind of stuff? That's when they come from. But I won't say that I had those aspirations before 3 years ago, when I
Mm-hmm.
went to the States by myself.
Do you think that this sort of a worldview of helping the world has already been solidified into you, that you feel like this is going to be something that you're going to keep constantly doing for the next 5 years? Or do you think this is still a stage where you are sort of have an idea of where you're going, you feel that the motion, but you can't really encapsulate what exactly you're going to be doing, and right now you're just really looking for different paths, looking for possibilities to really latch onto you so that you become somebody who think or somebody who you imagine you would be?
Yeah, definitely the second thing you said. So I have this vision of myself. And by the way, thank you for those questions are very, very interesting. And what you're asking me, it's very interesting. It's a wonderful conversation. I never had one like that before. But yeah, definitely wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And so yes, it is something that I think I have an idea of
Mm-hmm.
who I want to become, and I have an
Mm-hmm.
idea of what I want to do, but I'm still in the early stage. So right now I'm looking just to learn, and I would do anything to learn from the best people. I want to be connected with the best people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to help constantly, even with the Now What podcast, and trying to do something for people. But I don't have the weapons right now
Okay.
to
Mm-hmm.
help a lot of people. So I want to learn a lot. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just 22 years old. I am in that stage in life where I'm learning and learning and learning,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and try to get as many information as possible. And then when I will feel ready, I will give back.
Absolutely. You know, like I think age is not a problem, and I think you're already way ahead of a lot of people in terms of how helpful you are, and a lot of people are just stuck in their own reality and they don't take action. And I think what you're doing already is ahead of your time, not ahead of your time per se, but you're doing things great. You're helping people. I love your podcast. You're interviewing Amy. You're interviewing. I think there is somebody who's Grace, and those are some great insight that a lot of podcasts aren't able to gain those kind of insight. And I think you're doing an absolutely good job. And I think you should keep doing that. And
Thank you.
don't let anybody tell you otherwise. But on the topic, because I think I personally I love to understand how things work, and I'm deeply interested in asking questions that really reflects upon on my own, value and my own motion or motivation. And while I was listening to you introducing yourself in the very first podcast, well, sort of here's your host, and you mentioned something about you want to help humanity to go to the next step. And I think that's a very interesting notion because it comes from, well, I mean, I'm not saying age is a huge factor, but age is indeed a factor where how we progress in life and how much we know, because I think experience comes from pain, and pain needs time to be manifested. And it comes from a very, like, coming from a 23 years old, it is a really huge sort of a grand view to be able to motivate yourself, because in terms of for myself, I'm 32 right now. I don't really quite understand what humanity really is about. And from a lot of the time, even with my closest family, I do find it hard for me to be able to help even those who I really understand, or I think I understand a lot, to help them in the way that they want it to be. So that encapsulates that comes to the point where I was looking like, well, what sort of, at least for the first question, is, do you think humanity needs help? At least to the point where you think, or is it something that you think they need help, or is it something that you sort of came across and say, I think humanity needs help?
So you make a lot of very interesting point, and I
Mm-hmm.
do believe you are totally on track on what you're saying, and I maybe don't quite understand yet, but I
Okay.
do have a sense.
Okay.
I do have a sense of what you're saying, and what can I say to you is that is for me is much easier helping a lot of people than helping the people that are closest to you. So I feel like I know how to help a thousand of people in some issue
Mm-hmm.
than being able to elevate the person that is next. Actually, in my life, I'm trying to be helpful to all the people that I have next to each other, but I'm giving way more value to the students right now, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So it is something that you are totally correct, that I don't think you need to be able to help those people that are around you. I think history is full of examples of people that are great for the society, but they are not great for their families and for those little for that little circle that is very close to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually a very potent thought, a very important thought, and
Mm-hmm.
very interesting to understand why. In terms of the second point, does the humanity needs help? I believe humanity is going to go through progress all the time. So I don't think it needs it certainly needs help on certain areas, but I think humanity is going to go as a race, is always going to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
and I want to contribute to that progress. I see the next I see the human 3.0 being attached to some machines that are giving them some nutritional things, and they are just using the power of their brain
Mm-hmm.
to interact with each other, and just sort of like the Matrix, right? What the
Ah,
Matrix
yeah, yeah.
was describing. So and I really see that, because when you do eliminate the physical boundaries, that's when you actually can unleash the power of your mind that is right now constrained in a physical body. Then
Mm-hmm.
you do, if you get rid of that physical body, you are limitless in possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what that I don't know. Humanity needs help in a lot of things, and but I want to contribute to the progress, because if you don't stop the progress, those little problems are going to go away by themselves.
I totally agree. And I think that actually points out sort of a dilemma between helping those who needed the help and helping who those who don't need the help. The reason why I came to this sort of a dilemma because it also goes deeper into, let's say, product management. So in terms of, let's say, I think this is something that has been shared very popularly amongst PM is for those that are trying to build a product, like a very product-driven PM, they are exactly doing what you're talking about. They're trying to provide a value that are being valued to the mass. However, within their immediate family, let's say their teammate or their boss, managers, or even their CEOs, it is not necessarily the case. And there are a lot of conflict of interests between them. And the reason why I'm asking is because, or sort of, it sort of guided to that direction is because since we're talking about like helping, I think the key concept here is helping. Is how do I actually be able to help everybody? A lot of the answer is, at least to my understanding, is nobody has all the keys to all of the doors or all the locks. But at the same time, it is sort of the job for a product manager to be able to find out what the lock is and unlock them. So, for an example, I think I've worked with startups, big companies, MNCs, international corporates. They share a very similar sort of setting. Is PMs are always desperately wanted to push out really good product, really highly driven product metrics, but people within their team has different agenda. They are looking for different things, and it's just so frustrating that nobody gets alignment and everybody's doing their own thing. So in terms of that, it seems that the helping humanity or be able to help everybody in a very different way, or be able to even understand what the underlying premises is and be able to unlock that sort of deadlock is sort of the theme of product management. And I'm not saying that not driving the product or not setting the right OKR, KPI, and all that. It's not what the job of a product manager. But product manager, as in like a mini CEO, as you mentioned, it delves into what is unlocking the human locks, and it sort of got me into like asking because I think if you wanted to know more about like learning more about how to help other people, recently very enjoying this Canadian clinical psychologist called Jordan Peterson, and he's a professor at University of Toronto. His work is amazing. He talks a lot about how to help people. He talks a lot about how to help people from post something distress, no, post stress, no,
Post traumatic disorder.
thank you, yes. And in his worldview, he talks a lot about like being help finding out what needs to be done. And that's actually where it got me into why I'm asking you the very first place is how do we know how to help, or what help can we do, or even if humanity or as a treated medical person, does they need help? So I think I don't think this is a sort of a very closed end question for you, but I think this is sort of a way for me to express that I'm trying to see what you see, and perhaps maybe provide a little, like, on a very arrogant myself, is that help you to provide a little bit insight of where you want to go, and how are you going to plan for the next 6 weeks, 6 months, or even 6 years, where you're going to go, because a clear definition goal is better than a really wide open one. It takes you longer to get there, even though you can still get there, but it's just, if you have a very clear goal, I think that would help you accelerate your progress more so than not.
Definitely, definitely. And this is wonderful. It's not very arrogant from you. I still remember that you're 10 years older than me, and you did a lot of things in the meantime. So I definitely take some serious tips from you, and I thank you for that. I do believe that you are right in everything you said right now, because the why am I so I believe that life in general is going to identify what problem is and what the goal is, right? So right now I'm keeping my mind open to all the possibilities in order to narrow it down as soon as I go, because it's very difficult for me to have a clear object right now, because I don't know what the clear object is. I'm trying right now, I'm in the process of eliminating things from my head. So I got all the information that I could have, and I'm still gathering information, and then in my process right now is eliminating what I don't like, right? So and that's how I'm going to get where what I do like, because I like so many things that I need to narrow it down. But I believe that there is some guidance that we don't see, and some kind of I don't want to say destiny, but maybe that's the word, that is guiding us to a point where we need to be. And probably we know already where we need to go, but we don't realize that yet. So I'm just keeping my possibilities very wide in order to understand, and following my own gut in order to understand what my clear object is going to be. It's very difficult for me to say right now, I want to help humanity in getting a better school education, because of the school system that we have now doesn't work. Yes, that's right. It is one of the, but I want to help humanity as well in traveling from space to space, So I don't know yet. And I want to keep my possibilities open, and that's a choice that I make.
Sure. I think I think possibility is a very romantic word, and I think everybody should have possibility, and I think everybody should have the chance to embrace that. And it's very hard to encapsulate that, because possibility itself is not something that anybody could even encapsulate or capture by the terms that I know this is going to happen. So that's more on probability, but not possibility. So it's sort of as things that it branches out, we don't know, and it's very hard to sort of capitalize it. So, there's do what you do, trust your gut feeling. I think that's a good way. But I think that actually, it's sort of like, because when I read through your profile, I see you as somebody who is very ambitious. You don't know what your future is. You still take action and hold yourself accountable, so that it is a sort of a quality that a lot of successful people have. But in terms of that, I wanted to understand, like, sort of help me to convince those who are in the same age as you are or lesser, what kind of sort of, because I also know that you came from a very programmatic background, like you are an engineer student, or like computer science, exactly. So more or less you have a very engineerical mind. Humor me, is there any algorithm or framework that you're using to make decision for your life, or even for your career up to this point?
Yeah, you want to know if I have a programmatic way to understand, to evaluate all my possibilities and then decide some of them?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry for that, bro. I don't.
Okay. How do you evaluate?
I do evaluate. I do evaluate and try to see pros and cons of every possibility that I have. But I tend to go into those possibilities. So possibilities are not that many. right? Not real possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And I tend to take whatever I feel in that moment is right or not.
Mm-hmm.
I trust myself. I'm learning how to trust myself, and because I see that every time that I make a decision, and if I was wrong, I knew that, right? I knew that before, and I took it anyway because I don't know, it was some money or stuff like that. Making you an example, there was a conference in my school that for cryptocurrency, and this guy was a CEO of a
Mm-hmm.
cryptocurrency company,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't have the time to
Mm-hmm.
go because I had practice 1 hour after,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to eat before, and I didn't and the cryptocurrency is something that I wasn't interested in,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't have any knowledge in, but I felt like I had to go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I felt like I had to go, so I went,
Mm-hmm.
and I met this guy,
Mm-hmm.
and this guy is now my employer. I'm
Mm-hmm.
working for the company now. I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
the internship in data science
Mm-hmm.
at the cryptocurrency company. So
Mm-hmm.
I know that sometimes you have that feeling that you need to do something, and then you need to develop
Mm-hmm.
and try to see what is working or not. I don't think you need to. There is a moment in life, I think, in the 30s probably, or
Mm-hmm.
much later, or much later than now. Could be 27.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not very fixed with the age, but yeah, but then you're gonna have so many possibilities that
Mm-hmm.
you need to framework those
Mm-hmm.
possibilities and go with the best one. Right now, I don't have that many possibilities, so I'm taking all and trusting my gut where to go.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make sense?
It does. It does. I think you're providing a very different viewpoint. So the reason why I'm interested in this is because I don't see myself as somebody who I would trust my gut. So I'm a very debating kind of person. I don't doubt myself. I trust myself, but I trust myself in the sense that I would always be doubting myself. So I always observe myself as an outsider. But that approach, so when I look into like watch YouTube videos or sort of those speakers, motivational speakers, they're always telling me that trust your gut feeling, trust your instinct. I was like, where do those instincts come from? I can't even trust myself to be able to perform 100% each time that I do a certain thing. How would I even be able to trust my gut instinct that would lead me to somewhere that I cannot anticipate at all? So I'm not saying that I don't have the flexibility to, embrace the unknown. I can. You could literally throw me into any situation, I could still stay alive. Well, given that I have food, but that's another story. But it's sort of a very interesting question is where do we how do we embrace our gut feelings? And I think more importantly is how do we manifest that kind of gut feeling? So that gets deeper is because I think gut feeling, if let's say sportsmanship, and or a sports player, I think you're already very familiar with this you need to get practices. You practice a lot so that the action, the correct way of shooting a goal gets embedded into your body as a muscle memory. And that
Hmm.
sort of developed into a gut instinct because you have experienced it enough to make it into an instinct. But I think a lot of students out there or younger people, they don't they have the luxury of sort of not a curse in disguise, I would say, a blessing. They don't have to face the hardship of living under the rock, living under a house that has a hole on top of it, or just living through hunger. They have so much opportunities and they have the luxury of not going through all of hardship, which means in translation is they lack the chance of embracing or distilling that kind of gut feeling that you're talking about.
Yeah, 100%. And I do believe that is a very it is a pain point in society right now.
Mm,
So what I got to the point that I can trust my gut right now because I practice every time in my life, all time I can, to have less and less and less. And when I went to the United States, I did so because I wanted to renounce to
Mm-hmm.
all my privilege. That was a privilege to have a house, to have a
Mm-hmm.
home, and to get food and to stay with the people that I was next to.
Mm-hmm.
I chose to give away all of that and go to the other side of the world where I won't have help from anybody, and
Mm-hmm.
I need to figure things out myself.
Mm-hmm.
What that was a gym for me. It helped me develop this instinct, as you said, to trust my feeling. Because, man, if you don't know yourself, if
Mm-hmm.
you don't trust yourself, who can you trust? You're saying that because yes, there is a you are developing and you're still experiencing all the thing, but you have 32 years of experience. You know how much experience your brain has seen
Mm-hmm.
in 32 years?
Mm-hmm.
And your brain knows that your brain knows you
Mm-hmm.
know yourself better than anybody else. So if you have a feeling that that is not right for you, that is
Mm-hmm.
not right for you. And it is a trained algorithm. Our brain is a trained algorithm
Mm-hmm.
that knows exactly what we like or not. We are not able to make decision until, I don't know, I'm shooting a number right now, like
Mm-hmm.
5 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
But after that, there was many studies that said that our brain is developed after the first 5 years of our age. I
Mm-hmm.
don't quote me exactly on the five, but it was 3 to 5 years on
Mm-hmm.
on
Sure.
the age, and we developed our personality. So we had the time to train our algorithm
Mm-hmm.
already.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I trust myself. But I was trained on doing that. And what you said is very true. Many people are not doing that because they have the privilege not to gave away all the privilege they have.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that you have to do in life is to renounce to everything that you had
Mm-hmm.
and start from zero. When you start from zero, you have to trust yourself because you're the only person that you can trust,
Mm-hmm.
and you
Mm-hmm.
don't have nobody else. And you need to take ownership of your choices.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you do that. And once I did that, I changed completely.
Mm-hmm.
My life
Mm-hmm.
changed 100%. And that's when I developed the feeling that I want to help the world. I want to help humanity, and all those beautiful things that, like, Miss World is saying, right?
Yes.
But that I want to end the war, I want
Yeah.
to end the peace, I want to end hunger. Yeah, I know. But that feeling that I want to help
Mm-hmm.
is something that is very eradicated within me,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that I can take some complex challenge and I
Mm-hmm.
can solve it. And I want to do that for humanity, because we are all experiencing the same thing, and we are all
Mm-hmm.
the same. For what I can see is we are all living the same experience through different bodies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's I feel like unity with other people. I see
Mm-hmm.
you as my brother, right? I see all the people that are around as my brother, as my same peers that are going through the same things in life. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I want to help, because I feel like we are on the same planet, on the same experience. So if we elevate ourselves, we
Mm-hmm.
elevate as a species, not as a single human.
I totally agree. Like I think I agree with the part where you're talking about, how you want to help and, really the privileges. And I love the way how you think of, you renounce your own privileges, zero it down so that you're humble enough to really know who you are, what you can do, and just really get your hands dirty, like to down to the point where you're on the ground, really thinking off your feet, getting those really like raw hunger, those ambition, those dreams, and make them into a field that fuels your dream or even your success or your action. And the very key word that you mentioned is like call yourself accountable, which is very important. And I think, and I totally agree with that. But I would add, like, I think I used to think that we know ourselves very well. And I think after a bit of like working for about, 12, 13 years, I was working since I was 16, 17, and different jobs of all different kinds of places, big ups and downs. I think one thing that I learned a lot is people don't really know what they are, and they think they know who they are. I think this is more on the more advanced level, but vast majority people don't actually understand who they are. The reason why I'm coming from this is let's say Hong Kong. I think this is more of a very different mindset, but this is more prevailing mindset in the Asia area rather than in the Western world. So the prevailing sort of mindset is that everything is so structured that I'm trying to fit into a certain part of the system. And the way that I would see is I don't need to think. And I am sort of submitting myself into this gear kind of thinking. So that's okay because that in that way as an individual I can identify as part of the system. So let's say I'm not calling names or anything, but it's just some big companies that I can think of. Is let's say I'm a product manager from Google, I'm a product manager from Amazon, I'm a product manager from Uber. I'm not saying that they are not smart. I think those people who could actually get into those huge ass company, very successful company, are very successful people. They are intelligent. They're more than anything else. But there are a lot of people that got submitted into a certain system. They don't need to really look into themselves because they already identify themselves as part of the system. They're like, I'm a PM from Google, therefore I inherit the characteristic of Google: big, data driven, monolithic, and resourceful. But that wasn't really the reality of what I've been seeing, because there are a lot of like really smart big company PM that got out and left the company. They just got so lost in the smaller team and a startup. They kept on failing, and most not because they're not skillful, but they don't really have a very thorough understanding of where they stand, because they got so used to become part of a system. When they sort of got isolated, they don't know who they are, what they can do. So I would just add to it is that a lot of people think they know, they like I would say yes, they know who they are, but to a certain extent. Maybe they identify themselves with something else, but not really truly when everything else is silent and dark. Are they going to be able to tell you who they really are? Not quite so. And
No,
yeah.
not a lot of people. Yeah, and that's a wonderful point. And you have to make a conscious effort in order to understand who you are, and you need to understand that you don't know who you are and go into a journey. And what you said is identifying with a system. That's what kills the single, and what kills humanity as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe there is a huge need for structure in order to understand the structure and then get out of the structure. So you need to be disciplined enough to see that after that, discipline is just something that you impose on yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but this is not your life,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you
Absolutely.
need to learn the discipline before. And
Yes.
so that's why you want to go into. That's why I do believe Asian system is very good for a certain age,
Mm-hmm.
but then you need to get out of there and take your wings off and try and think for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you need to go into another country, see things for yourself, and then come back. We have the extreme luck
Mm-hmm.
now that we can go to other places with with very few cash, very few money, and just one person that you know,
Mm-hmm.
and get that experience.
For sure.
If I could give one tip to everybody at 17, 18, 16, when they finished high school and they're done, and they are out of the house and they want to go away, man.
Mm-hmm.
Go away, go to another country, start from zero, start from scratch. Everything that you did before doesn't exist anymore. You have your rules, you have your own thing, but you
Mm-hmm.
need to figure them out by yourself. You need to understand and make a conscious effort in order to understand yourself. I hope this makes sense. And definitely what you said is very
Mm-hmm.
true. Being part of the system and being part of a big and inherit the characteristic of that big brand or big
Mm-hmm.
way of thinking is not the best way.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe that that is a gym sometime that you need to go into in order to train to think like them, to think outside the box. Then, right?
That's
There's
very true.
school.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think the other side of the story is that I think that that's sort of in the PM realm, but it's a PM realm of a debate between like a startup PM versus a big company PM. When I work with smaller companies or even startups, something that it's very weak in the startup scene, but a lot of PMM suffer is that there's no inherent knowledge. So what I meant by that is system is a way of encapsulating knowledge without the existence of human. Let's say I have a high turnover rate. I different PMs in different years, but it doesn't mean that there should not be any consistency between different joining the company and working it there. And the consistency only would exist if there is some sort of reference. And but that it goes back into human history, right? Like, how do human history pass on knowledge? How do we grow as sort of a race? It's through stories, it's through myth, it's through culture, it's through our habitat. So those are the things that we help encapsulate and sort of pass on our wisdom and knowledge, so that our next generation doesn't have to make the same mistakes that we did, regardless of whether the new generation is experiencing a different context. Because let's face it, 20 years ago there's no cell phone, or even more so 30 years ago there's not even a high-speed internet. What is internet? So it's just that, in that sense, where I could see both sides of the story as, yes, you're very correct. We need a certain system to be in place for those who don't understand or who don't has a fundamental understanding of where they stand. System is great. It helps modulate, it helps to embrace and sort of distillate wisdom. Not even just knowledge, it's wisdom. And by then, only then you would have what it takes to reinvent the wheel, if you see there's a different angle. I think there's a lot of startup and a lot of young dilemmas within the young age group, is that they always want to be their own boss. And there's a trend of younger CEOs, younger startups, people from their younger age. I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, it's because, people are more ambitious, we're always looking out for more. That's great, all in all. But I think that actually reminds me of a very famous speech that I think Jack Ma, the owner of Alibaba, made, is that if you're in your 20, get into a big ass company, learn what they know, and get that knowledge. Help you to become who you can be. You can always decide what you want to do with that knowledge, but you don't if you don't have that, you won't be able to leverage off and do what you want to do. So 30
Exactly.
years old, you're going to come out and sort of be leading. And 40 years old, you're going to be reinventing the wheel, because you've already learned enough, and you got to get out your ass and do something real. So I think that's really, that encapsulates like both sides of the story. And I think I agreed with, how we're approaching it. And I think this is more of, structure versus chaos, really learning group identity versus, single identity, embracing yourself versus embracing your experience. So
Definitely, man. You get to know a concept by the contrast of that concept. So you know light because you know dark. You know structure
yes,
because you know chaos.
exactly.
If you have only been in chaos, you don't know what structure is. If you only be in structure, you can understand what chaos is, because you know what structure is. I think that is why I want to get, when I say I want to get into the big tech, it's not because I want to have Google on my t-shirt, or Microsoft or Facebook on my t-shirt. I don't give a shit about that. I want to learn from them because they are successful. So it is stupid from me not to learn from their knowledge, because they know how to do stuff.
Exactly.
And then on my 30s, on my 29 or 28, when I have that experience, when I have that gym, then I can go out and do things by myself. But it is stupid for me to do things by myself now, because I don't know how to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn the hard way. Yes, you're going to be exposed, but it is not, that does not mean that you are always going to come out alive from from a destruction point like that. So you
Very
need to
true.
do smart things, and you need to go into what Robert Greene calls not the internship, but the apprenticeship. You
Apprenticeship.
need to go into apprenticeship. You need to have those experiences, put in the hours in order to get to know what you want to know, and you need a master. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a master, you're not going to go anywhere. There are a few exceptions maybe, but you need a master, and you need to understand who the master is and to learn from the master, and then you can go over the master. That's the story, and I think that humanity has told this story for years and years and centuries. So it is common knowledge that this is how it's going to work, and I think we have this common knowledge inside of us, and if we are open enough with our mind to understand that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I think you put it in a very, very elegant way. Is you only know light because you know dark, and you only know order because of chaos. And I love that. It seems like you read a lot and you are very well articulated. So
Thank you.
very nice job. So I think we
Thank you.
have like another 10 minutes, or if you don't really mind going over, is there any questions that you're hoping to ask, or is there any topic that you wanted to engage with me? I got my list down, so, and I'm pretty happy about it, because I think I came up with, like, I was very impressed with your profile, so I was like, okay, I need to study this. I need to show that I respect this, and a lot of the questions are the manifest of after reading all your and all your data points on the internet. I even saw a few pictures of you, on the soccer field. So that was that was impressive. Forward, weight 200.
Yeah, it was a period of my life when I was very into soccer and I wanted to become a soccer player. Never that much. I use soccer, and soccer I have to give I have to say a big shout out
Mhm.
to soccer, because they brought me to the US and they allowed me not to pay the education in the US. So I had a scholarship and for playing soccer, and so that my talent could give something back to me. So I use my talent to have something back. And without soccer, I probably I would have never come to the US and studied in the US and saw a completely different world and met thousands of people from different countries and learn from experience. And that the US is a wonderful place to do that, because it's a jam of many cultures, and
Mhm.
it is the country that is made from all the cultures together, and that's wonderful to see. You see many terrible things in the US, but you see as many wonderful things. And I do love that country because of that. I do love that country because you
Mhm.
have the possibilities to talk
Mhm.
with everybody and to get the knowledge and experience from people from all over the world and share those commonalities. I
Mhm.
want to be able to spot the commonalities between all the cultures. I've been always interested in all the cultures, because
Mhm.
the more you know about the cultures, the more you can spot the difference, and you can spot the commonalities more than anything, and see
Mhm.
why some things are believed more than others. Same thing with religions. I like religion very much, because
Mhm.
I do love the way the religion was the answer to the need of the human
Mhm.
in the question that the humans in general had.
Mhm.
And that's why religion came out, and there are some common things that you can spot through religion, and that's why I like
Mhm.
to study religions as well. I'm not a believer in any of
Mhm.
them.
Mhm. Mhm.
I am a spiritual guy. I'm not a believer in any religion, but I
Mhm.
love to see how the culture developed during the
Mhm.
years. So thank you
Interesting.
for researching for my profile.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful that, but I think you have a wonderful. You're doing and great things. You're providing great values from a place that is very difficult to
Mhm.
to provide that kind of value, and to
Mhm.
maybe to express those kind of ideas without the. You are very like
Mhm.
word thinking, and it is I see myself. I can see that
Mhm.
we have a very good connection, and our
Mhm.
conversation has been wonderful because we have a connection and we think the same way.
Yeah.
and despite the places that we come from, because Italy, as you know, is a very, or maybe you don't know, but it's a very conservative place as well, and the ideas doesn't circulate. They do circulate, but not so much. I'd be glad to do a second round, and maybe we can do something together to talk even in the podcast about those. I think those kind of things that we talked today about are very, people don't resonate with that. They don't ask themselves those kind of questions. So as soon as my podcast was something in order to give students the possibility to get into big tech, but what I want to transform it is into give students the possibilities to think outside the box. And I think that our conversation is how to think outside the box, if I have to double that.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's do that. I would be more than happy to. Like, it would be my honor to, if I could be of any help.
Absolutely, man. It was wonderful to talk to you today.
Absolutely. Likewise. And have a good day. And I think that I pronounced your name right, like Gabriele or Gabriele?
Gabriele. Well done. You're the only one there. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good day. Talk soon. Bye.